Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the fourth part of the lectures, series of lectures on conversations with God. And last time we discussed that fear is very magnified. All emotion, whether the emotions are positive or negative, there are energies in motion. Now, when we come to fear, it is very magnified and very hate, fear together with their offshoots, anxiety, bitterness, impatience, avarice, unkindness, judgmentalness, and condemnation all attack the body at the cellular level. And the body is full of then toxins, which cause psychosomatic diseases also. So one has to avoid fear because it is unnatural. Illness and thinking, they are also related. Nothing occurs in your life, nothing which is not first a thought. Thoughts are like magnets drawing effects to you. I am sick and tired of my life. If you say that, this thought is very subtle, yet extremely powerful form of energy. And it will attract negativity into your life. So even thinking of this thing that I am sick and tired of my life will attract negativity into your life, and you will be attracting toxins. Words are less subtle, thoughts are more powerful. Actions are the densest of all. Action is energy in heavy physical form, in heavy motion. So we live in a world of energy, and whatever we think, whatever words we use, those all are converted into energy. And thoughts know no distance. Say but the word, and my servant shall be healed. If someone wishes health for you from a distant corner, and it is a very fervent and deep prayer, it may have a very positive effect on you. So learn to heal yourself with faith. You can also auto heal yourself. You can heal yourself all by yourself. Yet you are all mental lepers. Your mind is eaten away with negative thoughts. Some of these are thrust upon you. Many of these you actually make up, up yourselves. That is, you. Some thoughts are thrust upon you, but some you manufacture on your own, and you become manufacturers of unhappiness. That is, you keep on thinking about those thoughts and give them strength by thinking about them. So the best thing to do with negative thoughts is just to shrug them off and not to hibernate, not to meditate or dwell upon them. The energy of your thought never ever dies. It leaves your being and heads out into the universe, extending forever. A thought is forever. So one has to be very careful when it comes to one's thinking. And normally thoughts are carried out silently. So it is the inner speech of your mind. And this inner speech is also very, very powerful. So you have to take an account of your inner speech and see what kind of thoughts you think the entire day. Are they positive or are they negative? And if they are negative, you must take remedial measures. Now, in the realm in which people live on the physical plane, there are only two places of being: fear and love. We discussed it earlier also. Thoughts rooted in fear will produce one kind of manifestation on the physical plane. Thoughts rooted in love will produce another. If you are the happy, lucky go type, you will feel cheerful all the time. You will go in for pleasantness. And if you are rooted in fear, then most of your experiences and most of your time will be spent in misery and in self pity, self dramatization, self victimization, and you will feel miserable most of the time. So get out of the loop of fear, go into the territory of love, because that is what is natural to you, and fear is unnatural. You were born with love, you had loving parents, everyone was happy when you were born. Your parents were happy, and there were many family members, they were very happy once you were born. So love is something very natural, and fear is something which we acquire in our life because we get disappointed, we have expectations, and then we have frustrations and we have hopes. Once those are thwarted, then we feel fearful. Now, there are fixed laws. Consequences are results, natural outcomes. They are different from rewards and punishments. For example, if a boy appears in a test or an exam and he does not attempt the paper at all, leaves the paper blank. So what will be the natural outcome? The natural outcome will be that he will get 0 marks or he will fail in the exam. But this is not retribution or punishment. So one has to be clear about the difference between natural consequences and retributions. Retribution will be maybe his parents scold him, maybe his parents beat him for failing in the exam, or maybe there is some other fine imposed upon him. So retribution is different and consequences are different. All physical life functions in accordance with natural laws. Once you remember these laws and apply them, you have mastered life at the physical level. So you can't live without rules and regulations. This concept that one is free and can do whatever one chooses with one's life, this is just bullshit. This is bullshit in the sense that it is nonsensical. We have to abide by rules. We can't defy the rules. Rules are there, and those are meant to give a clear-cut direction to our lives. We can't ruin our lives by being irresponsible. We have to take into account that there are rules and we have to follow those rules as there are physical rules, as there are the rules of a country, we have to follow those. Similarly, there are universal laws and rules and we have to follow them. What seems like punishment to you, or what you would call evil or bad luck, is nothing more than a natural law asserting itself. If you are dishonest, you will be punished for that sooner or later. You are the creator of your reality, and life can show up no other way for you than that way in which you think it will. But all said and done, you can't defy the rules. The only freedom that we enjoy is the freedom of choice. God has gifted us with mind, God has gifted us with emotions, God has gifted us with a soul. He has given us clear cut examples. The divine books are there for guidance. And then there are those things which we experience in life, they are there to guide us. So we simply cannot ignore what exists outside us and within us. There are fixed laws and we have to observe them. By defying them, we cannot deny their existence. They are there and they will assert themselves. And what are those fixed laws? The first law is do, and have whatever you can imagine. You have to choose what do you want to become in life, and you will be able to achieve that if you have sufficient willpower and if you do not give in halfway. Because most of the time we do not put in sufficient effort and then we blame our luck. The second law is you attract what you fear. If you are fearful of something, that will show up in your life. So you have to avoid fear because fear is negative energy. And we'll be discussing the law of attraction and discussing this thing at length. But for the moment, just remember what you attract what you fear. If you fear that you will be unsuccessful in life, then you will be unsuccessful in life because you are attracting a negative energy, and that negative energy is there in the universe. So, emotion is the power which attracts that which you fear strongly, you will experience. The third law is love is all there is. Love is the ultimate reality. The feeling of love is your experience of God. When you move into the absolute, you move into love. As I mentioned earlier, that God created this world of duality for us so that we can experience different things and we can find out what our true reality is like. But in the word of the absolute, which lies with God, there are no contradictions. There is no such concept of duality. There is only love, and that is the word of the absolute. There is wisdom, there is beauty in that word, there is justice in that word. In this word of duality, A lot of pollution, contamination is there. But then you have to go through these experiences, whether good or evil, to find out what your reality is. And you are aligned with which force, the natural force of love or the unnatural force of fear. So all of us have the divine spark. When we existed in the realm of the absolute as spirits or souls, then each soul wanted to know what it was like. And God said that if you want to know what you are, then you must go into the word. You must experience the word. And the soul was at a loss. It didn't know what it meant. And it wanted more explanation. And God said that you go in the word and you will experience darkness. And in the midst of that darkness, you will discover what you are. And the soul wanted to have that experience. And so God sent it to the word with this word of note and caution that it must not lose sense of its own reality and its connection with God. So, in the word, one has to remember, one has to remember that one is part of the divine. You are, have always been and always be a divine part of the divine whole, a member of the God body. That is why the act of rejoining the whole of returning to God is remembrance. You actually choose to remember who you really are. We are all sparks from the divine light, or to join together with the various parts of you to experience the all of you, which is to say, the all of me. So God says that you have to remember. Remember, once you are in this world, you have to remember and you have to tell others, you have to remind them of what your reality is. That is, you are a part of God. You carry the divine spark in you. Your job on earth, therefore, is not to learn because you already know, but to remember who you are and to remember who everyone else is. That is why a big part of your job is to remind others, that is to remind them so that they can remember also. So, this is all that you have to experience what you are by facing adversities, by facing the darkness which surrounds you. But in that moment of darkness, you have to call upon God because He is the only rescuer who can bail you out. So, I explained this point. There was once a soul who knew itself to be the light. This was a new soul. That is, each individual has a soul and so anxious for experience. I am the light, it said, I am the light. Yet all the knowing of it and all the saying of it could not substitute for the experience of it. You must separate yourself from the rest of us, God answered. And then you must call upon yourself the darkness. What is the darkness, O Holy One? The little soul asked. That which you are not. Yet in the midst of all the darkness did it cry out, Father, Father, why hast thou forsaken me, even as you have in your blackest times? Yet I have never forsaken you, but stand by you always, ready to remind you of who you really are, ready always, ready to call you home. So going back to one's home, that is one's original destination from where we came, is not a bad experience. It is homecoming. But then, first of all, you have to remember and you have to remind others also that you came from God and you return to Him, which is a saying in the Holy Quran. And when someone dies in a Muslim family, we always say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. We came from God and we return to our Lord. So it is a fact of life. We were sent here to experience all that is there in this world and to discover who we really are and to create our own reality by aligning ourselves with the positive forces, with positive energy, with the source. And if we accomplish this mission, then life's journey has come to an end in a triumphant way. But if we forget this and we get so much disillusioned, so much annoyed and frustrated that we do not call out to God for help, and we do not call out to our sustainer for help, then we lose everything. So let's look at the Quran. What does the Quran says? And for those who strive in us, we surely guide them to our paths, and lo, Allah is with the good. So one has to strive. If one does not get an immediate answer, still the striving must go on. And God has promised, as is given in this verse of Surah Al-Ankabut. Ankabut stands for the spider. And for those who strive in us, we surely guide them to our paths. And lo, Allah is with the good. And then there's also is a verse from the same surah, Surah Al-Ankabut. And this life of the world is only amusement and play. Hereafter is the real life only if they knew. So, thank you very much. Jazakallah. This is all for today. God bless you.